EDUNEXT. The story began last year. Last year, wherein we started to have a concept established, wherein we wanted to have one step being taken by each of the educator to be able to bridge the gap that had been created because of COVID. We managed to have some training sessions for teachers at around like 10 training sessions and some panel discussions. We had a keynote speaker as Mr. Abbas Hussain, and we had Mr. Sadiq Merchant as closing ceremony person. The journey did not end over there. It was still going on. We were still working in the field of education. Um, just to share a little bit of the concept of what EduNext was all about. It was about making a contribution to be able to take education to the next level. And for today's, keynote session, we have Hani Messinger over here. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. And she's here with us to be able to, establish the theme of this particular conference, which has 14 different training sessions, again, free for teachers, and some panel discussions and education is coming from different parts of the world, including Khani herself. Welcome on board, Khani. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm feeling incredibly humbled and grateful to have the opportunity.
And the
And
stage is all yours. So please introduce yourself and maybe the conference itself. Thank you.
thank you. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I'm feeling incredibly humbled and honored and grateful to have the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for creating this and for just shedding light and helping teachers really further tap into their own innate skills and abilities with your service and your dedication. So thank you. And thank you all the teachers and all the participants and everyone that's here today. Briefly a little bit about me. My name is Dr. Chanie Messinger. I'm an occupational therapist. I primarily work with children and their families 0 to 18 years old. I teach at University Child Development for occupational therapy students and work with research students as well. I published my first children's book entitled Breathe, Breathe, Breathe. And today I'm going to be sharing with everyone how learning can be used as transforming. So learning is something that we typically get in school. We learn in math, 1 + 1 is 2. We learn in spelling, CAT spells cat. We learn in science that photosynthesis is the process in which plants use the sunlight to be able to grow. In school, we have a tendency to learn about math and science and spelling, a lot of fact-based knowledge. Oftentimes, with more complex ideas, we have a tendency to forget within the typical traditional educational paradigm. So what if I told you that true and deep type of learning can come from something else? It can come from somewhere else. It can come from, I believe, it can come from something more powerful than the typical traditional educational paradigm. It can come from transformation. It can come from transformational learning. We all have the ability to learn to read, to learn to write. We have the ability to learn about facts and numbers. We can open up a textbook and learn about math. We can learn about numbers. We can open up anatomy and physiology book and learn about the body's physiological systems. We can open up a history book and we can learn about the wars. We all have the ability to open up basic textbooks such as math, history, and science. And it's very likely that the information that we read maybe we'll remember for a few minutes, a few hours, or a few days. And it's very likely that the information will not be transformative. It will not directly have an impact on the individual's life. So with transformational learning, one may ask, what is transformation? So transformation offers the opportunity for dramatic change. Transformation is when there's a shift in one's perspective. It offers us the opportunity to perceive and view the world in a different way. That is transformation, and learning can be used as a means for transformation. So it's one thing to learn and it's another thing to experience. So let's say, for example, learning to ride a bike. Step one, first you need to place your helmet on. Step two, you need to place your hands on the steering bar. Step three, you need to place one foot in the pedal and then the other foot, you need to, oh, I see all the welcomes. The other foot needs to be using as push off so that when your bike veers towards the left, you're going to turn the steering wheel towards the right. And when the bike veers towards the right, you're going to turn and veer the steering wheel towards the left. It's one thing to read about how to ride a bike. It's one thing to learn about how to ride a bike. It's one thing to actually watch a video about your friend or your family member riding a bike, but it's not the same as you actually experiencing what it's like to place that helmet on your head, to place your hands on the steering wheel, to place your feet in the pedal bars. It is one thing to watch something. It is another thing to actually directly experience. So before you went on the bike, you may have read about it. You may have watched someone else ride the bike. You may have had ideas and thoughts about what it may have been like to actually ride this bike. And it's so too with learning and with teaching our students. Allowing students to learn rather than being taught. Allowing students to be taught not primarily through didactic or rote learning, offering students the opportunity for problem solving, for critical thinking, offering students opportunity for debates, peer learning, active listening, active participation, role playing, case studies, peer learning, allowing the students the opportunity to learn about practicality, to learn about life skills, to learn about emotion and self-regulation, to learn about what is meaningful and purposeful to themselves, tapping into and creating course content that is student-centered, that is meaningful and purposeful, while taking in consideration the developmental level for the students. Examples of such can include when teaching math, teaching about money management, when teaching about science, maybe teaching about planting, when teaching about spelling, maybe going on to a trip to the local library and discussing the importance and the values of reading books. We all have the ability to use learning as transforming. We also have the ability to help our students tap into their own interests, their own desires, their own needs, tapping into their own motivation, tapping into things that are meaningful and purposeful to them. We have the ability to help students tap into their own curiosity, their own creativity, their own learning, their own growth and development. We have the ability to help students tap into their own imagination. And as teachers, we have the ability to cultivate curriculum that is student-centered, that allows students to learn beyond the typical paradigm. So one of my ultimate goals as a teacher and as a professor teaching graduate level occupational therapy students at university is not that every student will receive an A or a B in the class, or the students will memorize and know all the material that I present. One of the key things for me is that students ask questions. Students are thinking. They're trying to learn a way to understand, to apply, to synthesize the information and relate it to their everyday life. I want students to be able to take this information and to be able to apply it based on their own skills, their own abilities, their own needs into their day-to-day life and daily practice. And ultimately, a gift and a wish for them is so that they can cultivate this lifelong learning, this love to learn, especially on topics that they're innately driven to and interested in learning. I believe the role of teachers is to help contribute through tapping into our own creativity, our own out-of-the-box thinking, our own ideas and suggestions that brings learning to life, that inspires and empowers and transforms learning away from this black and white thinking and into this colorful array of sunshine. There are incredible and amazing, magnificent ways to help promote transformational learning, such as active learning, role playing, experimentation, mindfulness, meditation, case study, and the list can go on and on and on and on. These are all great tools, great ideas, great suggestions, and great modalities. Yet I believe it comes down to one thing and one thing only. It comes down to the teacher-student dynamic. It comes down to the vibrational energy that the teacher has with the students. It comes down to the connection or the disconnection that each individual student will have a unique connection to the teacher. No two people are alike, even identical twins. So too with every relationship that we have in our life, no two relationships that we have with our friends or our family or our teachers are the same either. The way we react, respond, interact, our conditioning, our wants, our desires, our needs are so unique and so different with each and every connection that we have, and especially even more so as being the teacher in the school environment. In order to, I believe, truly be of service to the students, whether we're working with preschoolers, we're working with college students, whether we're working with parents, or ultimately with anyone for that matter, we really and first most need to be of service to ourselves. We need to make sure to check in with ourselves. Are my basic needs met? According to Maslow, there are foundational basic needs, such as our need for our physiological needs, our need for safety, our need for self-shelter, our need for food, our need for clothing, followed by our need for safety and security, our need for love, belonging, self-esteem, and then ultimately, if these foundational needs are established within ourselves, then we're able to self-actualize. And I believe as teachers, through transformational learning, through working and checking in with oneself, we have the ability to help students self-actualize, tap into their own innate wants, needs, and desires through our teaching, through our ability to spark conversation, creativity, and interaction within the classroom environment. We need to make sure that when we're working with students that we're checking in, and a great acronym that I like to use with myself when I'm working with students, whether I'm working as an occupational therapist with parents and their kids, or whether I'm working directly in the classroom, is the use of something called HALT. HALT is an acronym that stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired. H, hungry, A, angry, L, lonely, T, tired. And when I'm feeling upset or angry or triggered or frustrated, I need to first take that step back. And what am I experiencing? What am I feeling? Maybe I'm hungry, maybe I'm angry, maybe I'm lonely, maybe I'm tired. Taking that introspect onto myself before I decide how to react, respond, not react, not respond, whatever it may be. As the adult in the school environment, as the adult maybe in the gym environment, maybe as the adult with friends or with family, ultimately with any environment that I am in, I need to take a breather and I need to take a step back to see what I'm experiencing, what am I feeling in this present moment. And one way to start to do that is to start to cultivate awareness. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I doing? And I can cultivate this reset and this repause simply yet profoundly by connecting to my breath. Maybe my nostrils, my chest, or my belly, noticing the contraction and the expansion as when I'm feeling upset, feeling triggered right before I want to say something or do something, especially in the school environment, I can connect to myself. And this is where I believe transformation is coming, not only from the students, but it's starting and coming from ourselves. I am cultivate openness, awareness of my heart, open awareness of my thoughts, open awareness of what is happening in the right here, right now. This might have been a little bit of a change in perspective and a little bit of a twist on how we might be perceiving things, especially when it comes to transformational learning. When your students yells at you, rather than as the teacher or provider, you yelling or trying to put the student in their place or transform, how about you take a step back and you take a breather and take a breath before you decide how you're going to proceed? Maybe you're going to not respond. Maybe you're going to walk away, or maybe you're going to scaffold and you're going to change the activity or change that task. Maybe when your friend is really upset or really angry, you're going to take a breather and maybe you're just going to walk away. Or maybe you're just going to take a breather and have an open ear and listen to what the friend is saying. Maybe when you're feeling really hungry and you're craving that piece of chocolate, before you go for that chocolate, you take a step back and think, what am I needing internally? Am I really needing that chocolate, or am I seeking something else? And it's so too with our classroom environments, with the students that we're working with, the friends or the family that we're connecting or interacting with. We have the ability to transform ourselves by, first off, cultivating that awareness. Then we can discern and decide, what is my students needing? What am I needing? And then proceeding with what I believe and what I feel is appropriate, the next step in the classroom setting. So when we're working with students, we have the choice to respond or not to respond. We have the ability to be that role model for our students. We have the ability to serve as a vessel, to be of service. We have the ability to be the teacher that we may have wished we have wanted when we were a child. We have the ability to inspire, cultivate encouragement and inspiration to our students. We have the ability to cultivate a classroom that is open, loving, kind, and compassionate, that's tailoring and tapping into the overall needs of the students in the classroom. We have the opportunity to help students learn about their likes, their dislikes, their interests, their loves, their hates, and we have the opportunity to help point them in a direction so that they can almost flower out and blossom out into their true innate ability, so they can tap into their innate knowing, so that they can remain tapped into their own authenticity, their own value, their own needs, so that when they're older, they are able to teach others how to do that based on their own skills and their own abilities. I'd like to end with that everything in life is a reflection. What you see in me is a reflection what you see in yourself. So too with what you see in your students are reflections of what you see in yourself. We have the ability to make the future even brighter as being the models, as being the teachers, as being the change. We have to cultivate change in the educational paradigm by cultivating transformation, yes, through active learning, through role playing, through case discussions, through peer learning. We also have that ability to cultivate change by transforming and looking at ourselves, cultivating introspection, cultivate reflection, cultivating self-awareness over and over and over and over again. Typically in school, and we all know this, we learn basic math, 1 + 1 = 2. We learn spelling, CAT, spells cat. But a lot of the times in the school environment, we're not having the opportunity to mind our mind. And we have the opportunity to do that by connecting to our breath, by having a mindfulness or a meditation. And we have the ability to start teaching that to our students as well. We have the ability, one teacher at a time, to cultivate this rippling effect, to change this paradigm so it's more of an active interaction. It's less of a passive engagement. It's more of experimentation and experiences, tapping into students' wants, needs, and desires in a fun, mindful, respectful way. And teachers, we all can do that. And it starts with that one teacher and that one inspiration, cultivating that rippling effects that can have a profound impact on millions and millions of children all over the world. Thank you.
So well explained. Everything is encapsulated into one short talk of yours. I mean, you have inspired a number of people over here, Khani, and I think people are already thinking into how to transform themselves, because we were into the stage wherein we were trying to teach the way we were taught, in a very traditional way, wherein the teacher takes the control and she has that single platform to take care of, and she's the sole leader of the entire classroom, and not leader rather, I would say she's the boss of the entire classroom. And somehow or the other, we were transforming ourselves into, what is called activity based learning or active learning, and making sure that experiences become part of their lives. And then this COVID hit. We were pushed back like good 20 years when we again went on to the traditional teaching, going on to the camera, facing the camera, talking to the children. So it was also a big challenge for the community over here, that it took good time for teachers to either accept, or there were a number of schools which closed down. And with this particular conference, we really aimed to bring all those essence which we were talking about back to the reality in the classroom, so that teachers are able to transform themselves, considering the need, because we cannot be teaching the way we were taught, because learning will not happen otherwise. The way you have explained that, you want children to do a lot, but there'll be a reflection of what you are. So if you are not able to do anything, how do you expect the children to do it? So that was very well explained by you. I cannot um say it better than what you said. But and also, uh, I would just like to add a thing over here, that we've been talking about 21st century skills, and which includes your life skills, which includes the learning skills, which you includes the media literacy skills. So it's not just about one thing that is going to complete anybody. The need is to have a complete, package, a combo. So thank you so much, Kenny. Any last message from you, and then we are going to sign off.
I'm incredibly humbled and grateful. And thank you so much for the opportunity. And I think the last message would be like the emphasis on the teacher student dynamic. And if there is a trickiness or challenges when working with certain students, is as the teacher, it's taking that step back and to think, what am I being triggered? And a lot of the times it has to do with childhood, maybe a teacher or a parent or a voice in one's head. And it's really deconstructing that and breaking that down. So when you're coming to reinteract with that student, you're not coming to that student with a big charge like that. And you can, even if the student is old enough, you can be nice and mindful about it and say, like, I'm really feeling upset or hurt or frustrated with that. And you can voice what you're experiencing and see if there's that dialogue or that conversation. Because a lot of the research that I've been looking into over the past few years is that teacher student dynamic. And it goes directly again with the parent child dynamic too, is like foundation for future relation. And I believe that the teacher student dynamic in, let's say, grade 0 to 8 or even onward, it can really have an impact on how the child is perceiving education, if they're going to want to go to higher education or not. And it's going to directly have that impact from the teachers that they've had throughout their years. So we have the ability to really serve as encouragers and inspiration, that the students can really tap into that. And it's checking in with our dynamic with each and every student that we do have, and trying to, as best as we can, strengthen that and working on ourselves so that we can better be of service for the kids that we are working with.
We are going to remember your formula, that if you feel that you are getting upset on something, you need to check whether you are hungry, you're angry, you're lonely, or you're tired. That's Halt Formula. So that is going to be something that we are all going to be making sure that we're going to be following in our lives. That if you feel upset, if you feel that you want to pull out your anger and put it on somebody, then you need to check on yourself first. Are you really getting angry on somebody else, or it's about your own thing? Are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you feeling lonely, or is it that you're just tired? And if it is that, so then stop, think about it, and then react. Reacting too soon is not going to help anybody. Not us for some time, but not good for longer time for the children. So please, 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 Halt Formula just by Kani. Thank you so much, Hani. It was lovely having you on board, and I hope we are able to establish the platform. And this is where we are going to start our conference. This is what our theme is. This is where we need to be taking our children. We need to work on teacher-student dynamics, as mentioned by Khani again. Thank you so much. It was lovely having you, and I hope that you're going to be there throughout our conference. Although it's going to be somewhat in a bilingual thingy, and you might not understand some of it, but I'm going to share the concept note further, or the briefs, the abstracts of all the trainings that we are going to be conducting. So hope that's going to be some an insight for you as to how we are progressing towards coming back to active learning. Thank
Beautiful.
you so much, Kani.
Thank you. Thank you so much.